Good afternoon. My name is Rob Sanders. I'm the Commonwealth's attorney for the 16th Judicial Circuit of Kentucky, which is Kenton County. Here with you today to discuss the findings of the investigation regarding the Covington Police officer-involved shooting that took place on July the 9th, 2023 in the 1900 block of Glenway Avenue shortly after 12 noon. The parties involved in this call are an individual by the name of Garen Andrew Patty, or I believe it's Patey, I'm sorry. His date of birth is June 10th of 1993, which means he was 30 years old on the date of this incident. Mr. Patey's last known address in official documents is at 213 Elm Street in Ludlow, Kentucky. However, he has numerous prior residences in Covington, as well as one in Alexandria as well. In terms of where he was actually living at the time of this incident, I just don't know. Mr. Patey is no stranger to the criminal justice system in Kentucky. His criminal history includes an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle in Boone County in July of 2011, for which he received a sentence of 180 days. A fleeing police first degree here in Kenton County in April of 2012. He received a sentence of 2 years. That sentence was originally probated for 3 years. However, that sentence was revoked due to probation violations. A possession of marijuana, for which he received a 7-day sentence in Kenton County in October of 2013. Burglary third degree, for which he received a 5-year sentence in December of 2014, which ran consecutively to a theft conviction, which he also received a 5-year sentence on in December of 2014 for a total sentence of 10 years in prison, as well as an assault fourth degree conviction for which he served 90 days back in June of 2013, and with credit for time served, he was released from that misdemeanor conviction and sentence shortly prior to the incident that leads us here today. The Covington police officer involved is Specialist Ethan Livingood. Specialist Livingood has been serving the Covington Police Department since April of 2016. He is currently assigned as a patrolman. He also serves as a field training officer, a bike patrol officer, and a member of the SWAT team. He has no disciplinary write-ups in his personnel file at this time. On July 9th of 2023, the initial call, which has been provided to you on the flash drives in its entirety, was from a citizen on Oakland Avenue who reported a suspicious subject, or at least that's the way it was coded into the CAD system, and that's what the dispatch was for. The caller reported to the 911 center that an individual he saw acting bizarrely and striking a car, damaging a car on Oakland Avenue, and the person that did that damage to the car, when confronted by the 911 caller, then threatened the caller and left on foot, headed towards the Licking River. Officer Livingood encountered Garen Patey in the 1900 block of Glenway Avenue, and as you'll see, he was acting erratically. Specialist Livingood was the first officer on scene. Just about 1 minute into that encounter, Patey charges Livingood with his fist balled, obviously intending to attack Specialist Livingood approximately 1 minute after Livingood arrived on the scene. Specialist Livingood deployed his taser 2 times, both of which struck Mr. Patey and had minimal to no effect. Livingood was knocked to the ground and punched repeatedly. Patey then attempts to steal the officer's sidearm. During the struggle, Patey is shot. However, after the first shot, the gun jams. Despite being shot 1 time at that point, Patey continues punching Specialist Livingood. Livingood is able to clear the jam on his weapon and then fires several more rounds. Garen Patey is shot 7 times, including wounds to his neck, his left arm, his left lung, and several rounds to the abdominal area. Patey did not stop advancing on Livingood until 2 of the shots fractured his pelvis, dropping him to the ground. Livingood stops firing and is preparing to render aid when other officers arrive on the scene and take over first aid. Patey was transported by the Covington Fire Department to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, where unfortunately he died from his wounds. Livingood suffered non-life-threatening cuts and bruises, mostly superficial wounds. Per our local protocol, the Kentucky State Police were called in to conduct an independent investigation, as we always do anytime there is an officer use of force resulting in injury to a member of the public. That investigation was led by Kentucky State Police Sergeant Josh Howard of KSP Post 6 in Dry Ridge. This body-worn camera video that we are going to play today is approximately 8.5 minutes long. The altercation itself is over in less than 2 minutes, and 2 minutes into the video, I should say. The altercation itself probably lasts less than a minute in terms of the length of the altercation. However, there was a few seconds where Living Good has arrived on scene before the actual confrontation starts. I'm going to warn you again that this is unedited video. We would ask you to please edit the video as is appropriate per FCC standards before it is broadcast on TV. But since I know some of you are broadcasting live on the internet, we're going to ask you to be very careful about what you show in respect for the Patey family. Although I realize that you are obviously not going to broadcast all 8.5 minutes on your news broadcast, I'm going to play the video in its entirety because I think it's important for the people that are reporting on this story to see the effects that this altercation had on Specialist Living Good. He performed heroically that day, but this kind of life or death encounter takes its toll on even the bravest and strongest of men. It is obvious from this video that Specialist Living Good did not want this fight, but the fight was thrust upon him. I'm going to play this video now, and at the conclusion, I'll step back up and discuss the results of the KSP investigation.
He's walking towards the bowl area down north on Glenway. Hey bud, what's going on? You're not screaming. Huh? What? Okay. You okay? Are you okay? Okay, can you have a seat so I can talk to you? Huh? Okay, can you have a seat? I get it, Bob. Hey, can you have a seat? Can you have a seat on the ground? Hey, don't. Stop. 21, I got one taser point. Can you have a seat on the ground? Can you have a seat on the ground? Stop. Stop right there. Stop. Step it up. Step it up. Step it up. Shit. Oh. 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 Get off, dude. Get off. Get off. Stop. Get off. 21's got my gun. Get off! Huh? Huh? Shit! Shots! 21 shots fired! Multiple shots! Multiple shots! 21 shots fired! Stop moving! 21! Fuck! Fuck! 21! 21, I'm okay. I need a squad. What's your address? Fuck. 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 God damn. (21) 1936 Glenway. Multiple shots to the suspect. Summit squad expedited now. Fuck! Yeah! I know, man. I'm trying. Fuck! I'm good. Fuck! Stay back! Fuck! Stay back! Sit down! Sit down! Stay back! Stay back! Stay back! I got fucking more units. Yeah, I'm good. I didn't even, man. Okay, there's a witness I got, the older guy. Okay. His witness is the whole thing. Hey, got security? Witness over there. Oh, I just need a minute, Sarge. Absolutely. I'm good, just... What the fuck is on my god? Hey, yeah. Man, dude. What the fuck is... I was just talking to him, man. Man. Shit! I just need... We're gonna take care of you, man. I know, I was talking to him. He fucking I was on Tommy, Grandma, I couldn't get him to stop. And he like literally had a hold of my gun. Was trying to pull him. I just, fuck, man. I couldn't get on the fucking radio. I got his blood all over me, I think. Can I get my shoe back? Yeah, okay. No, I'm sorry. You're okay. God damn. What the fuck? It's fucking Sunday. What the fuck? What the fuck? He was having a crisis. I was trying to talk to him. I had my taser boy because he was clenched up. And he might have popped him twice. It did nothing. Set all four connected, did nothing. Hit him in the head with my taser, punched him, fell. He got on top of me with my gun. Fuck, man. It's 20 or
Hey,
more.
just everything through here.
What the fuck, man? It's fucking day. Jesus fucking Christ. This fucking job, I swear.
Let's get you.
I need some water. I'm sorry.
Water?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I just need a shoe. Can you get my phone? It should be in my top. You get my shoe and phone, and I'm gonna go.
Hey, come on, man. I'll put it out the front seat.
Hey, let me get my phone. Sarge, just get my phone.
Just get in the car and stand right there.
Let's talk.
No. Hey, Chris,
Thank you. For starters, this is the most violent physical attack I've seen upon a law enforcement officer in Kenton County since I've been Commonwealth attorney, which is now almost 18 years. Ethan Livingood was undoubtedly justified in his use of force in self-defense. Given Patey's repeated blows to Livingood's head and his attempt to take the officer's handgun, the use of deadly physical force was both reasonable and justified. This case will not go forward. We will not be presenting it to the Kenton County Grand Jury. Prosecutors have an ethical prohibition against pursuing cases when we know that there is not probable cause that a criminal offense has been committed. And in this case, Officer Livingood is protected by the same laws that protect everyone else in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. His life is protected by the same laws as everyone else in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. His conduct would be lawful even if he was not a law enforcement officer and was acting as a civilian. I want to say thank you again to the Kentucky State Police for their work on this investigation. It has been incredibly thorough, though it has been a little bit shorter than some of our previous investigations because the scene was relatively contained. Nevertheless, their work was incredibly thorough and they provide an invaluable resource to local law enforcement by stepping in to be our independent investigator. They've done it on a number of different occasions, and we are always happy that they are there to provide us with that valuable resource. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Garen Patey. We recognize that this is an incredibly difficult time for them, and although I think Mr. Patey was responsible for his own actions, we recognize that they are suffering great loss. Garen's acts changed the lives of many people for the worse that day, not just his. We pray for everyone impacted by the outcome of his actions, including the officer, his family, the Covington Police Department, their family members, but also Mr. Patey, his family, and everyone that is suffering from the loss of his life. At this time, I will be happy to take questions that I can answer. Yes, Mike?
Did Patey appear to be impaired at all?
The toxicology is still pending. The autopsy has been completed, obviously, but the toxicology takes a little more time. It's certainly possible, given the actions that we observed, that he may have consumed some kind of controlled substance. However, at this time, I don't know. Those results are not back in yet. Those may very well explain his irrational behavior, but the results of that toxicology testing is not going to change the outcome of this case in terms of whether or not a crime was committed.
What could have Patey have done at the onset to that kept it from escalating to this point? What could he have done?
Well, first of all, if he'd have done what the officer asked and sat down, the reason that police officers ask individuals to sit down whenever they have encounters, or oftentimes when you see their encounters, is because that greatly reduces the threat level to the peace officer, and so they can relax a little bit, just like the individual that they're encountering. If you'd followed the officer's instructions, he'd probably still be alive today. Obviously, if you hadn't charged the officer, struck the officer, tried to get the officer's gun, he would still be alive. That's pretty much obvious, I believe.
How is Officer Livingood doing today?
I've communicated with him. I think under the circumstances, I think he's doing very well. However, this is a traumatic event for any officer. He's been a great officer in Kenton County for a number of years, and he performed exceptionally well that day to save his own life. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't note that this would have a negative impact on the psyche of anybody that was involved. But I think he's doing about as well as he can under the circumstances. I'm sure he'll recover from the physical injuries he suffered much, much faster than he will the weight of his actions, knowing what the outcome of this encounter was.
Is this a new experience for him, the first time he's had to fire on a suspect like this and it turned out to be fatal?
Yes. Let me be specific. He has not been responsible for anyone else's death since he's been a police officer. I've been Commonwealth attorney longer than Ethan has been with the Covington Police Department, and this is the first time that anything that he has done has resulted in a fatality or of any sort that I'm aware of. He has been on the scene of other officer-involved shootings, however, he was not the officer that fired the fatal shot.
Had a question about the first shot fired. Says the suspect was on top of him, there was a struggle, it appeared that he allegedly went for the officer's gun, so that first shot, was that the officer firing or was that the suspect?
We don't entirely know. I believe the officer will say that he thought he fired it, but at the time that that first shot happened, they were struggling over the weapon, so it's not entirely clear. With both the officer and Mr. Patey both having their hands on the weapon, my discussions with Kentucky State Police investigators, as well as other people that are very familiar with firearms, it's suspected that the slide on the handgun was not able to cycle, which prevented the spent shell casing from ejecting, which caused the stovepipe jam. We have no, short of having an actual video of that happening, we can't say that with 100% certainty, but given where we know both their hands were at the time the shot happened, that would be a very logical explanation for why the gun jammed.
Does it say anything in it to Patey's intent when tasers didn't stop him and several shots didn't stop him?
Well, obviously he was very intent on assaulting that officer. If he walked right through two taser deployments with little to no effect, I think his intent on what he was going to do to that officer is very clear, that he was intent on hurting that officer, assaulting that officer. As to how he was able to walk through the taser, again, it might have something to do with substances that he had consumed. It could have something to do with an altered mental state for some other reason other than ingestion of substances. But what's important, I think, for the public to take out of this is to recognize that tasers aren't always effective. You know, anytime there's a police use of force, the first thing a lot of folks want to ask is, well, why didn't they use the taser first? Why did they have to go straight to a sidearm? Now, obviously, in this case, Living Good went to the taser first, but this is a very good example of tasers are not always effective, and sometimes officers don't have that opportunity before they need to save their own lives.
And just to confirm, the officer was stopped and Patey came towards him.
Yes, I mean, you can watch the video yourself and make your own conclusion, but I think it's quite obvious that Patey is the one advancing on Living Good. And in fact, even though he has no duty to retreat, it's clear from the video that Living Good was in fact retreating. Also on your flash drives that I've passed out are both the cell phone, the bystander's cell phone video that I think just about every station has already broadcast, but wanted to include it just in case you don't have it, and also a Ring door camera that was from a nearby residence that was collected that I think that it has been broadcast in the media, but I don't know that everybody has had it, so that is on there as well. That Ring doorbell camera gives a very good perspective. I know with the officer's body camera, because Patey is so close, you can't always tell exactly what's happening, but when you watch the Ring doorbell camera and then watch the officer's body camera, I think it gives very good perspective in terms of what's going on and just how much of an advantage Patey has over Officer Living Good when he is on top of him and punching him, which isn't entirely clear from the body cam video, but it's very clear from the Ring doorbell video.
So is Officer Living Good now back on patrol?
I think the chief's shaking his head no. I think that Officer Living Good is still on paid administrative leave, pending Covington's usual protocols of what they go through in a situation like this before they are cleared to return to duty.
And how long after the shooting did the suspect die?
That I don't know. I know he was declared, he was treated on the scene and he was rushed to University of Cincinnati Medical Center. He was declared deceased in their emergency room at some point. Exactly how much time elapsed before he was pronounced deceased, I don't know.
Even though the results of the toxicology report are still out there, watching the video and hearing the officer interact with them, it was kind of difficult to hear what he was saying back to him. I guess my question is, was there any history of mental illness with the suspect?
Not that we have been able to uncover. Obviously, as I articulated before in reciting his criminal history, he's had a number of different contacts with the criminal justice system here in Northern Kentucky, the most recent of which the most recent of which would have been when he was sentenced in June of 2023, and in none of these prior cases is there any indication that Mr. Patey asserted a mental health defense. So beyond what is available in the court records, I can't speak to Mr. Patey's mental health history, but there is no indication that he's ever asserted a mental health defense to any of his prior criminal cases.
Was that his wife that came out after?
I believe it's a sister. It's, to my knowledge, Mr. Patey is not married, and as of at least February of this year, we had a case involving a girlfriend. He wasn't married at the time, so I don't believe it is a spouse, no. Any other questions? Okay, if there's nothing else, thank you all for coming and for covering this. And if anybody has any problems with the flash drives or any of the files on the flash drives, just either call me or email me and I'll be happy to replace them for you. Thank you.
Wi-Fi in the building.
There is a Wi-Fi in the It has a password on it. There should be. But trust me, we have all kinds of, the Wi-Fi in this building comes and goes at times,
I've
but,
been using my phone and the cell service.
oh no, the cell service in this building is horrible. This is like trying to work in a microwave. You have to leave your phone in the windowsill if you want to get calls. All right, thank you all.
Thank